So Christian, Max said on Thursday, if you gave him a preference, he preferred to win in Japan. With the relationship with Honda over the years, is that a sentiment that you can get on board with?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't care where we win, so long as we win it. So Singapore is obviously theoretically or mathematically a chance, but the probability is probably very low. So the next hopefully chance could be in Japan, but there's so many variables that we're just taking every race one at a time.
You don't need me to tell you what a fantastic year this has been for you and the team. That return to the sort of dominance of 2013, how much was that missing for Christian Horner? Sleepless nights, there's been some hard years. How much was it missing for you?
I think, look, last year was an epic, and it was a massive fight all the way through the year. This year, we've come out the blocks well. As a team, we've really delivered at every level. With the car, with strategy, Max obviously done an incredible job. And so, we're pretty close to the statistics that we achieved in 2013, but there's still room for more. And the team has obviously had huge pressure to deliver, and that's exactly what we've done.
From the outside looking in, it looked as though Adrian, maybe towards 2015, 2016, he needed some new challenges. Do you feel like the 2022 regulation change sort of reignited his fire, and how much of your success this year has been down to Adrian?
I think Adrian, obviously after the introduction of the V6 era, he got heavily involved in a couple of other projects, the Valkyrie in particular. So he stepped back a little bit from Formula One, activities, splitting his time. But of course, he's still playing a key function and role in the business, in the technical team. But now he's also got a very good and strong group of engineers, working with him, led by Pierre Vacher and Enrico Baldo and Ben Waterhouse and Craig Skinner. So we've got a tremendously strong technical group, and Adrian now has the ability to flex his time between Formula One and of course the RB17 that he's very much involved in.
So Andres, Lando told us yesterday the update on the car is not an update, it's a concept change. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, first of all, thanks to a great job from the entire team back home under the leadership of James Key. We managed to bring this upgrade or this concept change to the car here for Singapore, which hopefully gives us some good directions, especially for the development of the car also for next year, and that was the main objective for this package. At the same time, we obviously still want to make sure we also keep improving this year, because we want to stay in this battle with the Alpines until the last lap in Abu Dhabi. But looking at the pace yesterday with both cars, we were still struggling with pace, and hopefully we can make a good step forward with all the hard work everyone has put in overnight.
We've heard some nice stories in the last couple of weeks about Daniel Ricciardo reaching out to Oscar Piastri to say, look, no hard feelings. How impressed have you been with Daniel's attitude ever since your decision was made?
Well, I think there was never a question about his attitude in all this. He has shown throughout this 18 months or even more with us what a great personality and character it is. He is with a great fighting spirit. So yeah, I have to say I appreciate a lot how he was dealing himself also with the whole situation, and we're both committed now to try to finish our chapter together on a high, and that's what we spend all our energy on.
Final question for me on Oscar Piastri. Are you any clearer about when you can start onboarding him at McLaren? Have you sent him a steering wheel that he can start playing around with?
No, there's no news at the moment. Still conversations ongoing, but we will let you know as soon as we have news on this.
Fred, news coming into this weekend was Joe's in the car for next year. Why Joe?
Why not? He did a very good job with us this season. That I think he was probably the good surprise for the paddock. Not too much for me, but for the paddock, he was the good surprise. He did well from the beginning, and I would say that out of the car, he's doing a fantastic job with the team, with Valtteri. He's a very, very strong team player, always team-oriented, and this for us we need to get the best from everybody, and Joe is playing a big role into the job.
Obviously, this season it's been trickier than you would have liked in terms of pure performance. This weekend, you look a lot stronger. Any reason for that, do you think, circuit specific? Have you made some changes?
No, I think that we don't have to pay too much attention to the Friday also, that let's see today. And it's so tight between P5, 6 and P19 that the weekend could look very good or very bad for details. For sure that in terms of potential, perhaps that we had to slow down a little bit because that we are running out of budget and we are not developing so much. But okay, we are focused now on 23, and I hope that we'll do a good job again next year.
Is it full focus now on 23 in terms of development?
Yeah, we have some small updates coming for the next races, but it was out of the wind tunnel a couple of months ago, and now we are fully focused on at the factory on 23.
So yes, obviously being a team principal comes with a sort of father-like figure to these drivers, and what happened to Alex in Monza must have been horrible for you. How have your emotions been seeing that and going through that process with him?
Yeah, of course it wasn't quite a nice situation in Monza. I think the team had to react and reacted well in getting Nick in the car and getting him ready, and he did a great performance. But I don't think the situation was as serious as it was some media made it believe. So he was recovering now since Monza. He is on track with his recovery as he has a very good physio and trainer. So he is where he should be now, and it was hard for him yesterday, it will be hard for him today, but I think this race is hard for everybody. So he might not be, he's 100% fit, but maybe not 100% yet at his strengths, maybe 90, 95, but I think he's there, it's safe for him to drive.
Despite that, I mean, Nick, obviously a very experienced driver, but how surprised were you by the competence of his performance, which was a sensational performance in Monza?
Yeah, I know him for a while now, and I know what he's capable of, so I expected quite a lot of him, and he delivered what we expected. I was most surprised his performance in the car with full fuel load, because he has never driven the Formula One car with full fuel load, and then being at the start and handling the start, not losing places and keeping up with everybody with a full fuel load. For me, that was the most impressive performance of him.
We've had the news recently that you'll be parting company with Nicholas Latifi at the end of the year. Obviously not a decision you'll have taken lightly. Can you just talk us through that process?
Well, yeah, of course it's a long-term process, isn't it? And as I mentioned in Monza, I believe that Nicky's performance has been impacted by last year's Abu Dhabi outcome and the circumstances after that. And then I think his performance was this year not on the level where he expected his performance himself, and we didn't expect his performance to be like this. So, and then after 3 years, I think it's right for the team and the driver to find different opportunities for both.
Final question from me. Does Nicholas's departure mean that you have somebody 100% lined up, or is it still a decision to be made?
No, there's still the decision to be made.
Gunther, you said coming into this weekend that the upgrade has brought more downforce. That's good news, of course. But has that pulled you, do you think, into that kind of area where you should be challenging for points, providing the circuit kind of suits your car?
It hasn't put us that we can go for pole position, yet, but we are working on it. But no, it is an improvement, but these upgrades, they are never this big that you really can see, we made 3 positions up compared with other people. You see that you made progress, that the car is better, but so does everybody else. So it's very, very difficult to judge how much it has done. You need to believe your data. The data was good, because we had years where we had the data and the data wasn't good and the car wasn't good. So we need to believe it, and we just need to keep on working hard that we get the best out of it with the setup, with the balance of the car.
Let's talk drivers. You got one seat. It's quite a lucrative seat, I think, on the grid next year. Where are you at?
Still thinking, we are very slow in thinking, as you know, so no, we want to take our time, without joking, to make sure that next year at no stage we think, we did this too quick, because we don't need to be in a hurry now. There is not a lot out there anymore on open seats and drivers. There is not a lot of options, so we just want to make sure that we take the right decision and have no regrets next year.
Is it experience that would be useful? You've had some rookies now, you've had some experience, you've had both. What works best?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm done in the moment with rookies for the foreseeable future. But I mean, we need to see what is best for the team, or who is the best person to bring or who is the best driver to bring the team forward.
Ron, when you look back at Ferrari's season so far, what's the overarching feeling? Because obviously you're back at the sharp end, but you're not quite at the top of that point, are you?
Well, you know, I think the first, if you look back to the entire season, I think the first thing was a huge step in car performance that we have done over the winter. I think this was the main target, to be back, to be competitive, to be back, to be in the fight. So it's great that we have been able to do that. We know it's not the end point. We know the path is still ahead of us. That there is many things we need to improve to be able to be fighting for the titles again. And we have learned that sometimes the hard way this year. But you know, there is no doubt about the approach. The approach is to keep improving every single aspect we have, and that's how we came to that level with the car performance. That's how we are looking at making the next steps.
What have you got to do to make those next steps? Because it is little things, I know, but it's still quite a gap, isn't it, for you to be as consistent as Red Bull and fighting consistently for the championship?
I think the truth is that it's you need to go and look for the next step in every single small items that you have. That's how we have approached it. That's how we have made these steps forward in the past to take us here, and that's how we also see how do we get to the next step. So you know, every area look at its own path and try to do the next step forward, and then this will allow us to get closer to the guys in front.
How are Charles and Carlos dealing with the season? Because there's been some real highs, but there's been some difficult races as well. And how have you kind of seen their character? Their performance underlying is there evidently, but how are you feeling that they're dealing with it?
You know, they are fantastic engines to our performance. Not only when they drive the car, but also when they are out of the car, in the way they are working together, but even outside of the technical environment, in the way they have been part of the team. They have been supporting the team in the low moments, even more importantly than in sharing the high moments. So as I said, we've learned the hard way a few times, but it also created some very special bond in the team. The team is very united. The drivers are the heart of that, and we think it's an advantage that we will take forward.